everyone, this is Dave on CRPG Dungeons & Dragons Night. I'm going to do a little something different tonight. We're going to talk about an anime.
I am Morley, the wizard, introducing you to adventure.
Welcome to the D&D world.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the old CRPG from the 1980s that's still going on today, Wizardry, had one episode of an anime. And we're going to discuss it.
Wizardry, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, is the first game in the Wizardry series. It was developed by a couple of guys named Andrew Greenberg and Robert Woodhead, who used their own names in the game in reverse, as Trebor and Werdna. Trebor being the Overlord in question, who was never actually seen in the game, and Werdna being the villain, who is the last person you have to fight in this game.
Now, sadly, I never got to complete the game myself. I had a copy of it when it was released on a box set containing the first 7 games. I started playing it, but at the time I was in the process of also moving from one location to another, and I ended up losing my copy of the game in the process. So I never actually got to complete the game, and a lot of the footage you'll see here is just clips from various YouTube and various sites I found online. Anybody I haven't given credit to, I apologize. I didn't know who you are. I still don't know who you are. But if you're up there, go ahead and let everybody know in the comments who you are, because I want you guys to be known.
Wizardry, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, was at the time probably very advanced, but nowadays it's as bare bones as you can get. You're a party of heroes that is sent in to defeat the wizard Werdna, who has stolen a precious item. The item in question is a magical amulet, which can help Werdna take over the world.
Your adventuring group can be made up of a party of 6. You have 4 options initially, but if you're able to do a little bit of work on your stats, you have 4 more options.
Of course, your party can be made up of a fighter, a priest, a mage, and a thief.
Of course, if you have the right stats early on, or maybe partway through the game, you can change up your party a little bit with the additions of
a lord, a samurai, a bishop, or even a ninja.
Now, you can't have a D&D adventure of any kind without some race options. And in this case, we got
dwarves, hobbits or halflings, gnomes, elves, and of course, the standard, humans. You start off in the town where you make your party, you get your equipment, and then you head into the dungeon. And of course, you're bare bones even in this because you can barely afford the equipment you have. So you're more than likely just going to be armed with a bunch of daggers and sticks for a while until you get enough money to buy the better equipment.
And when you completed the game, your surviving characters could be transferred to the next game in the series, which there was a total of 3 at the time. And you can switch over your characters to the next game so you can continue the adventure. And after that, they went to the 4th game, which really had nothing to do with the first 2 games other than the villain, which you ended up playing in that game. And the 5th game, I'm not even sure if you could transfer your characters on that. 6, 7, and 8 were their own trilogy entirely, so we're not even going to mention them. But we are going to get back to the anime now, so let's go on to that.
Sadly, there isn't much in the line of information for Wizardry, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, the anime, other than it exists. It was released in 1991, and, well, let's take a look. Our story begins almost immediately with pitch battle. Here we are introduced to our 3 main protagonists, Shin, Alex, and Hawkwind. Hawkwind is mentioned in the guidebooks or manuals for the game. And I believe that Shin is a samurai, Alex a warrior or fighter, and of course, Hawkwind is of course a ninja.
Now, mind you, they don't exactly define the majority of the characters' classes. I'm basically guessing most of the time. I think there's only 2 characters they actually just say what exactly their classes are.
Our heroes take a break at Gilgamesh's Tavern, which is a location in the game, which of course is in text, so you don't actually get to physically see it, but here it's a nice touch. It's filled up with different kinds of adventurers, and one even sits up and talks with them for a minute before heading out to go exploring in the dungeon. Upon re-entering into the dungeons, they are immediately attacked by zombies, and are aided after a while by Joza and Albert, who I both believe are some sort of magic users. One definitely is a wizard, being Joza. The other one, I'm not quite sure if he's a cleric, a wizard, or maybe even a bishop. But Joza is a gnome, and Albert is a hobbit.
They take a little bit of a downtime at this point, and they decide to sit down and talk for a minute with Joza and Albert, and the 5 of them discuss what the wizard has been doing down at the 10th floor. Now, mind you, I already pretty much told you the plot of it at this point through the game, and it's pretty much the same thing here. But the interesting thing is the main characters, the three main characters, really aren't interested in going down to the 10th floor. They're pretty much happy with just collecting treasure and fighting the monsters in the upper levels, which pretty much all the adventurers that we met before at the tavern pretty much say the same thing. There's a scene where an elderly wise man walks in saying, "Why aren't you guys trying to do something about this?" And I'm going, "Why should we? There's plenty of treasure down there. We go down there, get some treasure after beating up some monsters. We can go get something to drink and eat afterwards. So what are we losing out of it?" But of course, the point is, the wizard is eventually going to come out with the power that he's supposed to be getting from the amulet, but nobody's listening at this point, including our 3 heroes. And so the funny thing is they actually get into kind of an argument out of it, which I find very fascinating because you don't really see that in role-playing game adaptions. And when they do, it usually comes out of nowhere. This one is actually defining why they don't want to do it. Because, they're basically making a living doing these adventuring into this dungeon, beating up monsters, collecting treasure, bringing it back, trading it in for cash, and, cash, food, and other amenities.
Regardless of their feelings about the matter, Shin, Alex, and Hawkwind decide to join the 2, and they head down to a lower floor. They end up running across the remains of a previous adventuring party, which includes the gentleman that sat with them at the table at the Gilgamesh's tavern. In a room nearby, they run across an elf who's being attacked by demons. And this elf maiden is named Sheer, and she joins their party as well, and she has her own reasons to join.
Now, she's a magic user as well of some kind, and I'm not quite sure what she is, but I am leaning towards her being strongly leaning towards her being a cleric, mainly because she has a medallion of some sort of religious significance on her neck, and she does mainly kind of healing spells most of the time. However, though, she also does some attack spells, which I would lean towards being a wizard, so maybe she's a bishop. Like I said, they really don't define the magic users in this one very well. But with that in mind, we do find out why she's down there. A lover of hers named Randy, who had been in a previous party, had gone down there, and they were looking for a special sword, or katana I should say, that could possibly defeat Werdna.
After a lengthy battle with the demons, they face off against a creature called a Flaka and some ghouls, and then the characters decide that they're going to go down to the 10th floor to join with Sheer and Jozen and Albert as they go to find Randy, and apparently Shin has the hots for Sheer.
Now, I forgot to mention earlier that Joza has a history with Werdna and Trebor. Apparently, he fought alongside them many years ago, and this is the reason why he's down there to defeat Wordna is because he was an old friend and he betrayed their friendship.
With Muramasa blade in hand, they come across Randy, who is completely possessed by the weapon, and they have to kill him in order to stop him from killing them.
Now, I'm not going to show you the complete battle, of course, but it is a brutal fight. I mean, brutal. Shin loses an arm, which, fortunately, in this story, they can heal stuff up like no problem. It's just like slapping a band-aid on and he fixes his arm. But, yeah, the whole battle is completely insane because they cannot get to this guy. He is so possessed by the weapon, and he's literally tearing the place apart trying to kill them.
Sheer literally has to bring the entire ceiling down to defeat the guy. And after stabbing a vampire lord in the back, they face off against Wordna. And he is not an easy defeat, and of course, Shin has to master the Muramasa blade. And once mastering it, he defeats Wordna with no problems. However, during the battle, Joza, so weakened by the strain of the battle, dies, and they have a quiet memorial for him at the end of the episode, and basically, pieces come to the land.
And that's pretty much it of the video. It's like 50 minutes long, and don't really get into a lot of the character development, but you do get to know a lot about their backgrounds, and you get to learn why they're where they are involving the dungeon, and what stakes they have doing what they're doing. The other thing I've had a problem with, though, was the fact that you really didn't get a background on the characters other than their connection to the dungeon and Wordna. I thought the tavern scene was a nice little touch. You know, they interacted with other characters that weren't exactly in their particular adventure, and the setup that was given to you by the old wise man that walks in trying to convince people to take on Wordna, and basically the attitudes of the adventurers in general. Everybody had a different attitude about the thing, and I liked that. That was awesome, that everybody had their own reasons for what they were doing. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's always good when you have multiple characters, everybody has their own stakes. A lot of times when you see adventures, you don't get, like with the Dungeons & Dragons back in 2000, I really didn't get why everybody was doing what they were doing half the time. Like, why was the dwarf even there? He never got to do anything till close to the end, and it was very minimal at best. It was like a quick couple of whacks with its axe on something, and that was it. The rest of the time, he was in the background just kind of staring. But in this case, everybody was doing something. Everybody had a stake in what was going on. Everybody had their reasons. There was lots of monsters being fought. There was a little bit of a hint of a romance. I do wish they kind of did an anime for the second 2 games, because, like I said, it was a trilogy initially, and I thought it would have been interesting to see these characters, possibly with another character joining them in the second game, or second anime, and possibly go on to the third one, which I would have liked to see. It's too bad this one didn't pan out like that. For what it is, it's very entertaining. There's only the Japanese Japanese with English subtitles version that I've been able to find. I have not found an English version, and from what I understand, this was a Laserdisc copy. And also, it was never released here stateside, so the subtitles you are seeing is actually, I believe, a fan copy. And like I said, I couldn't find very much to go on when it came to the history of this video. So it is what it is, and if I got some story bits or history on the game or on the video wrong, be nice and tell me about it, because like I said, I'm just going by what I was able to find, and I'm not a very good detective sometimes. So, you guys have a good night. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.